Hey guys, happy Friday. Today is Friday, May 3rd, 2019. Can't believe it. It's my crazy outfit, Cinco de Derby. Derby is tomorrow, Saturday, and of course Cinco de Mayo is Sunday, May 5th, so there's no way I could do a real show. I'm super happy to have my friend. I meant to ask you how you say your last name. Gretchyn Boshart. See, I would have messed it up completely. So Gretchen's on the show, real excited. She's got a really cool background. She does so much in the community. Not only is she a realtor, but she's also a comedian, and she's funny. And so I'm not sure where this conversation is going today, but I'm super excited about it. Give us a thumbs up. Let us know you can hear us and see us. That would be great. I'm also shooting live on Instagram. We're playing with this today, so it's going to be very interesting how it goes. And I mean, what a better day to try it with somebody who, obviously, she's got no fears. What's up, Jeff? Thank you. Okay, we got some thumbs up. All right, so tell us a little bit about you. We have been Facebook friends for a while. I actually didn't know what you did at all until we were going back and forth, and I'm like, oh, she's a comedian too? It's insane. All right, tell us about you, Gretchen.
Well, I don't know. I've lived a really crazy ride 10 lifetimes ago. I was that nerdy kid that skipped a couple of grades in school and got stuffed in a locker a lot. I'm Florida grown. I grew up in St. Cloud.
Oh, you grew up in St. Cloud.
I did.
Nice. That gives you an interesting perspective. That has grown so much. Happy Friday, Batman. I mean, that has grown so much out there. Is it even the same? Do you still live out that way?
I actually just finished flipping a house out there. I'm in Castleberry right now, flipping another one. So I'm moving around counties right now a little bit.
Nice.
I'm still bouncing all over Central Florida, which is always going to be my first love, no matter where I go.
Central Florida. All right, so you are here. You grew up here. You what did you want to aspire to be? Obviously, you did not wake up and go, I'm born and now I'm going to be a comedian or a realtor. What was your dream? What was your goal?
You know, I just was always one of those people that took opportunities one at a time. My mom says a lot that my careers picked me. I didn't pick them.
I like that because I think the careers do pick you.
I think they did. I really didn't choose them. I ended up getting a degree in tech and enlisting in the Marine Corps after.
Thank you for your service. You mentioned that earlier. I'm like, see, this is why I do no research, because I'm just as surprised as everybody else. Thank you for your service. That's amazing. The Marine Corps?
Yeah, the Marine Corps.
Wow.
Well, you know, I got stuffed in a locker a lot. I think
you did.
I thought maybe we could.
You were a pretty tough girl, though, right?
Well, I needed to learn a few things. I think assertiveness might have been one of them.
I love it. And so how long did you serve?
Well, that's kind of a long story, but a very short window of time that I really can't talk about.
Okay. I like it. All right, so we're asking questions we can't talk about yet. So there you go.
Sorry, I apologize.
No, so after the Marine Corps, after you get out, what do you do?
After that, I ended up getting 2 advanced computer degrees and taking over the Y2K problems and tackling them.
You don't seem like a tech person to me. Is that because I think of you as a comedian and you're funny, and I don't think of, sorry, my tech friends, but I don't think of my tech friends as necessarily naturally funny?
I think that's a lot of it. I think I also have a finance background, so most people don't think accountants are very funny either.
Agreed.
So, weirdly enough, I managed to be able to do both, be a nerd and be a little funny without...
So you did the Y2...
being about Dungeons and Dragons.
But you did the Y2K thing, so you were really into the technology.
I was really into the money.
Oh, don't take offense, JP. See, I was so afraid. You're actually the one I was thinking about. I'm sorry. You're very funny, my friend. I did. I thought, oh, God, he's going to be offended. You know what I mean in general. It's a generalization. So you get into the Y2K thing. How do you develop your career? Do you stay in that the whole time? Are you doing office support, IT support?
I started in tech support and very quickly realized I didn't want to work for anybody else. So I started a consulting firm. My first client was... UPS, actually. I would go in and train their managers how to use their email, things like that, and get rid of their paper. People were still printing out emails and doing things like that.
Why, people?
And we had CEOs panicking over 2 digits, and the more panicked they were, the more money we charged them. So.
John, you know that's not true.
It's
totally true on a daily. That's why never, unless you have a good relationship with your tech person, please never call them in a panic.
Don't do that.
You just bumped up your hourly rate by about 50% or 100%.
Yeah.
All right, but how did you eventually get into real estate?
Well, weirdly enough, I ended up moving to Nashville with my husband, who took a job out there as a branch manager for a computer and AV rental company. I was doing some consulting work for them. And then they went bankrupt and closed 200 branches overnight. I had a brand new baby, a girlfriend's child that had come to live with us who was going through chemo. And I spent, our last $2,000 buying some of their equipment and starting an AV company.
Wow.
And we took over to, $500,000 our first year, and after that I had to have somewhere to put the money we were making from that. So a real estate career was born.
So you had no real sales experience before, right?
No, I didn't know anything about running a company that large.
Well, does anybody? Thank you, Sophia. Love you guys. She said, I love your suit today. It's Cinco de Mayo, Cinco de Derby. I think getting into real estate, it's funny because I think people jump into it. This is any career, so I try to make this universal when we talk to people. When you're jumping into a career and you have no idea, you don't have any real experience in it, it can be daunting, right? So what was your motivation? You had the money, but that doesn't mean that you're good at it.
No, but I realized that during the Great Depression that the people that came out ahead and that weren't jumping out windows weren't in the stock market. They were in real estate. The
Right.
landowners were the ones that weren't having to do rations and that were okay at the end of that ride.
Right.
I thought, here's an idea.
Was it hard to go? Because again, no offense, JP, but when I think of a tech person, I don't think of them as a natural salesperson. And real estate's about relationships, so I get that.
I don't really feel like I sell anything. I feel like I facilitate transactions. I put people together and then I make sure their ride goes smoothly. I don't sell
that's good.
any, it's not my house, so.
Now, when you got out, you took your class, you graduate, you're all of a sudden a business owner, entrepreneur, realtor. What was the transition like?
It was pretty easy for me. It was all about people. It was all about, producing a quality product, which I learned to do through my AV stuff. It was really super exciting out there because I got to deal with music stars and lots of personalities.
Wait, you got to deal with music stars?
I did. I've done Elton John for $75,000.
Nice.
I've done lots of comedians and, just lots of weirdly famous people. I've done their shows.
Weirdly famous.
But what's great, I got to help them with housing situations. I got to work with people in the horse sets and the steeplechase sets out there.
Nice.
So I got lots of really diverse experience coming out of that.
Yeah, you did. So what's been your specialty since?
Well, I specialize in VA, first and foremost.
Which is my favorite. I love veterans. One of my pet peeves in our real estate world is that a lot of realtors won't accept a VA. They'll choose anything but a VA offer from a VA buyer when they have a listing, and it just makes me crazy. And it's because the misconception is out there that it's harder to deal with, it takes longer. And so talk a little bit about that, because anything we can do for our vets, I'm 100% behind. I want to do it, and Freedom has a fantastic, amazing product that we have, but it's not about that. It's about the vets.
Well, I'll tell you this, I'm seeing the same problem. They're being done disservice, and I've done, I think, 9 double-sided transactions. My last 9 were all VA on one side or the other, or both.
Wow.
The thing is, I actually went out of my way to get my home inspection classes last year so that I can pre-inspect these things before we ever get under contract. With VA loans, the misconception is they're so much harder to get through appraisal and inspection. They are not.
It's just not, guys.
It's not. A minor tweak. What we do is we reverse inspections and appraisals. Because that way, if something does fall through, they're not paying for 2 inspections.
Right.
That saves them money right there. And then what we also do is we make sure everything's got to be buttoned up. There may be a safety issue. That's it. You just have to make sure we don't have any wood rot or any falling railings and things that are safety issues. The rest of it's gravy.
But what can we do? We try to educate them, and I know you do since you work with vets. We're trying to educate other realtors who have the listing that it is not the big deal that you think it is. And so I don't know, me personally, if I had a listing and I passed on a VA just because I didn't know any better and all the things were equal, me personally, I'd go with the VA. But I think a lot of people are afraid. It makes no sense to me. And VA is Veteran Administration, by the way, Veterans Administration. It's a specific type of loan that, the one amazing benefit that our vets get in general, that they're not having to go through a whole bunch of stuff for. They get this benefit as soon as they're a veteran. And so it's just such a beautiful thing if we can get it to them. And so tell us a little bit about some things that you would educate the realtor on. What would you do? Like as a realtor, as a veteran, as somebody who served in the Marines, what would you tell them?
I would say a couple of things. One, get with somebody that does know what they're doing and learn it. I mean, learn it. You're not going to learn it out of a book. You're going to learn it from one of the vets that are out here doing this. If you don't feel that you are qualified, then refer it out to somebody that is. Don't do them a disservice and try and muddle through something your first time when you can learn it from somebody and maybe refer that out even. That would be my suggestion. Also, to realtors that are not veterans may not understand this. A lot of times you can't take it personally, but vets want to work with other vets that understand what they've been through.
Absolutely.
I've had wives come to me and say, listen, the only reason I'm hiring you is because, it's hard to take my husband in public. It's hard to go shopping all day. We need some special accommodations. And civilians don't really understand.
And because we talked about this, we went back and forth a bunch on the show titles, because so many vets, and we talk about this on the show a lot, suffer from PTS or PTSD, whatever the acronym is now, post-traumatic stress. And so when they come back, regardless of where they were, where they served, there's still a completely different transition. Transitioning into civilian life can be very overwhelming. And then not being able to deal with some of the things that you might have seen or done or participated in or had to deal with as an active duty member, hey Carla, can be a challenge. So a big challenge. I'm not minimizing that. But you're very cognizant of that. You were very specific when you messaged me and said, I really want to talk about how I can help vets not make, thanks Dave, how I can not make vets have to suffer through the process.
Right, and it can be so overwhelmingly stressful for them. And I've had so many of them just thank me at the end of the road going, wow, I thought this was going to be way worse.
Right.
And a lot of that's just experience and patience and tolerance. And, I try and give them so much of my time and do a lot more hand-holding than I would do with a normal client. And I think that makes a huge difference.
It makes a huge difference,
because
right?
I want them to have a positive experience and not feel like they're just chugging through another thing they're trying to adapt to.
Right.
Like it's a lot of money. It stresses people out, even at their best. I mean, I've seen the most normal people go crazy a week before
Well,
close.
of
I know
course.
you've seen it.
Hello. I get the phone calls. I get it. And empathy. You're right. She's got empathy. We have to have empathy. And I've never served, but I absolutely adore and appreciate what our veterans have done and our active duty members are doing. And it makes me crazy that we would do anything but be respectful for them, because trust me, they're not making six figures. They're doing all of this, putting their lives on the line all the time, no matter where they're at, no matter where they're stationed. They're away from their families half the time. It's just such a big sacrifice. And so anytime that we can help them, that's what we want to do. I want to do that. I know Gretchen wants to do that. Talk about your experience transitioning out, and then I want to talk about you being a comedian.
All right. My transition out of the military.
What you can share.
Well, coming stateside, my first date back was real interesting. So in boots, the trick is you have to eat chow really fast, otherwise you're clean and mess, and you're going to end up with latrine duty later instead of your sister squad. So you have to finish your chow in about 5 minutes flat. You don't even swallow, and you're hungry and tired anyway, so you don't care. Just my first date out the gate, I realized that I looked up after 3 bites and my date's standing there with his mouth hanging.
He doesn't know what to think. You probably inhaled that food like a crazy woman.
He hadn't even had a bite or a sip of his wine, I don't think. And I'm just like,
you were done.
God, I'm done. I'm so sorry. So there were little adjustments, things like, trying to not make my bed, but I still do that every morning. So apparently I never acclimated to that either. I still get up at 3:15 every day, even.
In the morning?
20 some odd years later. I don't even set an alarm. I haven't set one since boot.
Wow.
So you adjust to some things and others you just don't. You just keep
but
moving.
I think what a lot of people don't understand is, oh my God, they got out of the military. It should be so easy for them to find a job, find a career, acclimate back to the way they were prior to going into the military. And guys, I'm here to tell you it's not. It's just not. I've not experienced, but I have so many friends who have. And so you come back out in the civilian world, you're like, okay, where's my team? Where's my family? There's this camaraderie amongst them. Remember, a lot of times you're putting your life on the line. You have to trust somebody else. And so all of a sudden you're out in the real world and you're like, what a bunch of dips, man. This is insane. What? Nobody is watching out for my back. And so it's very hard to get back into it.
Especially when you got guys that have come home and they've lost their unit and they've taken bullets for them and they're going, oh, now I have to deal with people that wouldn't cross the street for me.
Right.
And that is very difficult. They end up feeling very isolated and alone and start, trying to get out of. It's overwhelming.
That's why a lot of vets, when they come back, they want to go back because that is where they feel comfortable. That's their comfort zone. That's an environment where they know the rules. There's rules, right? Everything is defined. And when you come out here, there's just no rules. There's nobody that's telling you what to do, asking you what to do. You don't necessarily know your role when you come back into society as a civilian, and it's just traumatic for them.
And you don't trust anything coming out. It all feels very foreign, and you're trying to navigate all that, plus people with their expectations when you come back. They expect you're just going to walk into your life when you're home, and it's not that
it's
simple
just not
to
like
do.
that. So did your most people will say, any comedians I'm friends with like you, they'll say a lot of my comedy comes out of the tragedy and the pain that I've seen. And so tell me how you transitioned. Or because you're doing both, you are an active comedian. You're out there and about. But how did that start? How did that come into play?
Weirdly enough, I had an actual writer for some of the greats who's in one of my writing rooms. I had an editing background as well when I wrote for the paper. And one of the writers that I know is a comedy writer out of Boston. Came to me and said, your Facebook posts are ridiculous. You've got to get on my And that same week, I spoke with James Shawn, who is a local comedian here, who's a headliner, feature, funny man. Went to our school, said the same thing to me in the same week. You just got to get on the mic. And I went, well, all right, I can try anything once.
Why not?
I got up, winged 5 minutes, shook through the whole thing, don't remember a word I said. Looked at the films next day and went, well, you know what's funny? I'm the only one that knew I was shaking. They laughed. It was funny, and I have some work to do, and here we went.
But I love that. So and you're right. Hey, what's up, Ida? Yeah, comedy's the best medicine. It's awesome.
Hi, Ida, I agree.
I love her.
She's
awesome. Tell me about that first, but I want you to go into more detail. So remember, have you seen the marvelous Miss whatever her name is?
I've only caught a couple episodes.
All right. So my thought process is you have that ability, right? But it doesn't always translate to stage, and then you also have to know your audience, and you're trying to maneuver through. Like people say I'm funny, and I'm afraid if I got up to a mic, I might not be funny. Maybe it's in my own mind. How do you come up with your material? Where do you get it from? Where do you get it from, and how do you cater it to your audience?
Well, life has just sort of handed me the material, thankfully.
It's so true, people.
Truth is stranger than fiction. I draw from all my experiences. First of all, I'm single for the first time in my adult life at 47 years old, which is terrifying in itself. Some things have changed.
Dating is a different world out there. I can't even imagine.
So there's a lot of material about, what's happened to me during this experience, and, being that I'm a highly evolved female. The experiences that
I like
having
that highly evolved female. Ronnie G, what's happening, brother? Gretchen, Jeff says you're so familiar but can't place you.
Hi, Jeff Wiley. I don't know. I don't think I know you.
You never know. But you're the marvelous Miss Maisel. That's it. Yes, that's what I think of when you were telling your story. I'm like, that's sort of it. Like she got up, she was in a mood. She took a mic, showed her boobs. It was a great show, and then went to jail. But that was a different time. Is it cathartic for you when you get up there?
For me, it's work. It's a lot of. This is honestly the hardest career I've ever endeavored. It moves fast. It changes fast. There's so much to learn. I haven't even learned everybody's names yet. It's been a lot of information flying at me fast. I'm getting up to speed. And I'm old and maybe I'm getting Alzheimer's. I don't know. It's getting harder. But it's been an amazing ride. I feel a little like I'm on Mr. Toad's-Wild Ride without the brakes.
But I love that, right? So that must be, so if it's not necessarily cathartic for you, it's got to be exciting. That's what I was going to say.
Exciting.
You can
I
tell
laugh
you've got
a
to,
lot.
yes, which is so important, which is cathartic and healing for a
Which
lot of
is.
people. It can be.
But being on that stage can be, ooh, or my knee's going to go out tonight. Like, or,
But how do you use, I don't know, I've had a couple of comedians come on the show. Do you use the same material? Do you have to come up with new material each time? How does that work?
I'm sort of blazing my own lane a little in that I want to hyperspeed my development. When I came in, everybody kept telling me, you need a type 5. And I said, but you don't get paid till you have a type 20. I don't want a type 5, I want a type 20. Why would I be working on a type 5? That doesn't make any sense.
I love it.
So I have been eating extra mics, developing extra material while I'm working the original and reordering sets so that I have more of a lengthy set to sell.
And is it primarily from your life? Do you touch on entertainment? Is there any topic that's taboo? What is your primary focus when you're on stage?
My primary focus is making people laugh and bringing some joy. I had a man tell me this month actually, I have not laughed in 3 years. My son died, and
Oh God, that's the motivator
this is
right
the first
there.
time I've laughed in 3 years, and I mean, I really laughed and didn't feel guilty about that. And I thought, well, I picked the right career.
That's awesome.
So I'm really enjoying that aspect of just entertaining. I had a woman and her husband just straight up fighting one night during a show. And I got up and kind of roasted him a little, and she grabbed me afterwards and said, well, you just saved our vacation, thank you. And I thought, yeah, okay, we're doing this right then, that's the goal.
Well, you're impacting people. I think that people don't understand that the life of a comedian, first of all, is also, just like a realtor, not as glamorous as it might look. And then, so you're doing all of this work, you're pouring your heart and soul into it. And isn't it wonderful to get that feedback, thanks Shirley, get that feedback from people and know that you're making an impact. Because a lot of people don't laugh during the day. I've noticed it. Like I have meetings up here at the club, and I'll watch people, and they don't smile or laugh. Not my people, because I make everybody laugh as often as possible. But I look at the other groups and the other meetings, I'm like, oh my God, these people are so serious.
Yeah.
There's a place for it, but I think there's a place for what Gretchen's doing, and I
I
just
think
love
you
that.
can multitask and do both. You can be serious and about your things and have a sense of humor about it. You can, make fun of yourself a lot even. We're not perfect creatures. Unless somebody's walking on water, you should probably
Nobody's
just
perfect.
come down off the hind legs a little and just laugh at yourself. Because, I laugh at myself 15 times a day or
At
something.
least. I'm always laughing at myself. People are like, you're so self-deprecating. Honestly, it's the truth. I'm a crazy idiot. Most minutes of the day, I'm insane. Ask my kids.
Yeah, I spent more time out laughing at men that say stuff to me lately, but...
Oh, yes. So, you must get material from everywhere. You were just talking, you're on the dating scene now.
Oh, Lord.
So talk a little bit about that.
Between the Facebook messages and...
Dudes are dumb. I'm just going to tell you, we are not the smartest group.
I can't believe how forward complete strangers have gotten out here. It can be a little overwhelming how familiar people think they are with me, and they're saying things to me, and they just met me 5 minutes ago. I had a man last week tell me, I think you should rethink your choice to be a stand-up comedian.
Who says that?
And he said, I think you can do better. And I said, well, don't tell my real estate broker that. I
What
think
is
he'd be
wrong
very
with
upset
people?
with you. And he said, no, you're not hearing me. I think you can do better. And I said, well, so what? My 2 advanced computer degrees and my 2 LLCs are toilet paper money.
There it is. Why do people feel like they can take just the liberty of just saying whatever they want to you when they don't even know you? I mean, I'm that way with my friends because you have that relationship,
Well,
right?
you know them.
But a total stranger, I'm very glad I'm married for many reasons, but I have seen my friends who are in that dating world. I don't know how y'all do it, especially with the whole Tinder,
This is not isolated.
plenty of
either.
fish.
I
I mean,
poor
there's,
man.
it's insane.
Try and tell me how to live my life, how to be, how to exist.
Just be
or
careful.
my favorite is when they're leading with their wallets, and I'm going, that's probably why you keep getting gold diggers. I make my own money right.
Right?
You don't have to go there.
Isn't it? So, all right. So, talk a little bit about. You're also involved in charity. You do a lot of you do stuff. You have a passion, Harbor House, or not necessarily Harbor House, but battered women, battered men. Why do you think that's important for somebody like to get involved with? People ask me this all the time. They're like, why are you involved in so much? And my question back to them is always, why aren't you?
Right.
So how do you balance all of them?
You have a passion for it, and it's important, and it's bigger than you. I have to have a greater sense of purpose in my life, and for whatever reason, God sort of keeps putting these experiences in my lap, and then we got to talk about them, because domestic violence is such a huge issue for men and women in this country. It is not a female-only problem. We've got, men attacking other men. We've just got violence in general anymore. But I believe God keeps giving me these random experiences that I've never had thus far, and this is a conversation we need to be having now. I was attacked in front of a show by a man beating up his wife a couple of weeks ago.
That's just
He body tackled me in the middle of Wall Street when I stepped in because he was beating her. The surprising thing was, while I was dealing with that guy and putting him on his face in the pavement, she decided to thank me by shaking off a culture and hurling it at my head.
Oh, good.
And I thought, we need to be talking about this.
This is the other thing, right? Because what you were doing is you're trying to step in, and I find it funny, horribly funny, that we don't step in more often. But I understand, right? Because we're a litigious society. Florida, you could sue anybody for anything.
Correct.
And so I get it, but isn't that crazy that her mindset is to protect her man
Instead of the person trying to protect her.
That's insanity, people.
It woke me up a little. I didn't realize. And then I started really talking to people about this issue, and women were coming to me and saying, Gretchyn, you just gave this a voice. And I had a woman, another realtor, come to me and say, well, my husband almost killed me. I shouldn't be walking. I should not be here. I've had multiple back surgeries. I can't believe I'm still alive.
Yeah.
So thank you for giving it a voice. And I want to talk about this. I think so many people are afraid to leave. And I had one ask me, I had a small incident with someone I was dating last year, and I left in an hour. And I had a woman call me and say, how did you do it? And I said, I had to decide my life was more important than whatever that was. I had to decide my own mental well-being was more important than somebody trying to force me to be what they want.
Correct. And I think that what happens is women and men, the partner is browbeaten to the point of they don't think they can get out. They also don't necessarily know what resources they have. And Harbor House is one example. Harbor House is an amazing organization, but they can't handle every single person that's coming in that is a victim of domestic violence. And so they want to get out, and then sometimes there's no place to go. It's such a crazy little place for people to be. And then if you add the dog, which we talked about, or the pet we talked about earlier, and Harbor House has that. I'm a big proponent of Harbor House. You can bring your pet. And they've got some crazy pets there.
And then don't forget Osceola County Help Now has excellent resources.
I did not know that, so talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, Help Now Osceola, excuse me. And Osceola has got great resources for women trying to get out and leave these situations. They have their own safe houses in that county as well. You just have to reach out to them. Excellent staff. They are very caring, very loving. They also have attorneys on staff to help with restraining orders, things like that. That will do some pro bono work.
Because like you said earlier before we went live, it's a process, right? So you get out, you had the hour, you got out in an hour.
Well, and I said, and I remember I said this earlier, with all the resources that I had, he terrorized me for 8 months. He tried to bully me, strong-arm me, get me to come back. He tried everything he could think of to just really make this very difficult. I can't imagine leaving with 3 kids, no resources, and trying to navigate that, but having to do it anyway. Like, I get why women are afraid, but I also get you've got to decide being homeless is more important than being dead.
Correct. Or your kid's dead. You're anybody dead, hurt, beaten. It's terrible. All right, so what's the ultimate goal? What's the next step for Gretchen? What are you doing next? What are we working on? We wanna get you on Star Search. That'll date me.
Well, I'm actually looking to go right around that. I would like to. I mean, I'm starting to feature. I'm being paid to feature in June for a couple of really big shows.
Awesome.
I am entering the Asheville and hopefully another comedy festival in Daytona Beach. I'm looking at seeing if I can maybe make their roster for the comedy festivals this year. I'm working on tightening my product, writing funnier, being funnier, and developing my material. And of course, I'm working on getting our vets in houses, getting their vets out of their houses. That's never going to end. And I'm just going to see where the world takes me. I have no expectation for it. I just know I don't want a glass ceiling while I'm doing it.
You're so, I think somebody said it earlier, empathy. So you're just so, that's why I love live, right? Because you can't fake this. Like, it's funny because Gretchen's used to directing, right? So she sends me this laundry list this morning on, these are the things I want to cover. I'm like, oh, sweetie, so we're probably not going to cover any of those. We'll touch on them, but no, it's totally fine because you want to do right. So you have a plan, you have a thought process of what you want to talk about and the things that you want. I appreciate and respect that. But what I love about live on Instagram or Facebook is that people can see your passion and your compassion and your empathy. And that's what you want to deal with when you are a veteran and you want somebody to represent you. I think it's so critical. It's just so important to have somebody on your side who knows what they're doing, who's been through it, and has a great perspective. All right, so we're going to share all of Gretchen's contact information, how you can reach out to her about anything, comedy, where she's performing next, veterans in your lives, whatever you would like to reach out to her for. She's an open book, as you can tell. Any parting words of wisdom for them, anything you want to share before we head out?
Live well and be happy, people. That's the number one rule. Always try and leave people better than you showed up.
Amen. When's your next show?
Well, actually, I will be tomorrow night. What's today? Tomorrow night I'm at Sleuths on iDrive.
Sleuths on iDrive.
It's a great show. Come on out. No cover. 2-drink minimum. Bring a date. It's such a fun night. Excellent comedians on the roster. Gregory Metz is going to be there with me. Nice. Kevin White's hosting. One of my favorite nights of the week in Orlando.
All right, Sleuths. So we'll share that too when we share our information. You're a joy. Thank you so much for being on the show. We love you guys. Thanks for my very first Instagram Live with my new phone. I'm very excited about that. So we love you guys. We'll be back later on. Reach out to Gretchen. Isn't she awesome? She's amazing. All right, thank you.
All right.
Bye, guys.